Boilermaker fans, welcome back to the channel. This is the Big Time Boiler here. Thank you for stopping by. It's been a couple, about 2 weeks since I last uploaded our Penn State preview. Apologize for the delay. Wanted to get out a reaction to the game, the heartbreaking loss to Penn State, 35-31. Obviously, the Labor Day weekend was just upon us, and had a little vacation with the family, so did not get the opportunity to upload something quickly after the game, which is maybe a good thing. I've had a few days to stew on it. Man, that was a tough loss. Almost went exactly like we predicted in our score prediction. I think we said 30-27, but with the Purdue win, which it almost happened that way if we were able to run the clock out. But at last we weren't. And we ended up losing a heartbreaker in Purdue fashion. So kind of just wanted to get a reaction to that game, kind of wrap it kind of quickly. Again, dive into the game a little bit, talk about some positives and negatives, and also kind of look at the upcoming game against Indiana State and if we needed to adjust our season outlook. But I guess before we kind of get into that, I'd just like to say thank you for the support. I think we're up over 100 or close to 100 subscribers when we first started this channel. I think we're above like 130 or something like that. So that's awesome. Really appreciate the support. I think our last video has about 4,000 views on it, which is outstanding. Again, this is, never was intended for this to be a big time YouTube channel, and quite frankly, it's not. Still with only 136 subscribers, but honestly, just wanted to get another Purdue voice out there. So very happy with that, and glad to see we're getting some views, and fellow Boilermakers are jumping aboard. So with that, I guess let's kind of talk about some positives of the game. Again, heartbreaking loss, 35-31. I guess we'll start with the defense. I thought the defense actually played pretty well for the most part. They played better in the second half. Obviously, some glaring issues. Well, the main glaring issue was tackling. But you got to say, these guys were in position to make the plays. They just couldn't occasionally. They did not wrap up their man. And when that happened also, they had somebody else on the team that was just kind of looking, and there was no gang tackling at all, it seemed. So that's stuff that's easily correctable. A lot of times, week one, you always see struggles with tackling, and that bit Purdue hard on a couple of long touchdown passes. So need to get that cleaned up, obviously. I think we can. I thought the defensive line played pretty good. Obviously, that we were able to stop the run pretty well for the most part. I don't think Penn State got over 100 yards. I think they had maybe one run over 10 yards, if that. QB pressure, the first half, the pocket was pretty clean, I think, for Clifford. But second half, we came after him a little bit. Scotty Humphich played well, got a sack. Overall, defensive line did well. But the linebacking unit played okay. Obviously got burnt on that game-winning touchdown. I think Clyde Washington was in the game. He'll learn. He got burned a little bit on that running back play, but right defensive play was called there. So defensive backfield, for the most part, they were in position to make plays, and they did a very good job in that sense. But besides, if they could just be a little more sure tackle back, or be a little better at tackling, I think we're going to be okay there. Corey Trice looked great. He's back. Good to see him back on the field. Reese Taylor had a rough game. I think, though, this was probably an anomaly. I think he's going to be okay. Had to get that IU out of his system. Just kidding. But I thought Jefferson played really well. Had that great, outstanding puke six, let's call it. Cam Allen was honestly a little disappointing in the fact that, he was on a lot of those missed tackles. He wasn't the initial person to miss the tackle, but he kind of was just standing around on a few of those plays. So hopefully he in the film room, he sees that and he plays till the whistle's blown. But I thought Sanusi Kane played very well too. So very exciting to see these cornerbacks and safeties. I guess exciting to see that. I think they'll improve, and we're going to be okay in the defensive side of the ball. I think they played good enough to win. And not only that, they stopped Penn State twice in the fourth quarter at the very end there, and gave the offense the ball back to win the game, and the offense just couldn't get it done. Then unfortunately, the third time's the charm for Penn State, and they got that touchdown. But We'll go to special teams. I thought special teams overall played pretty well. Kicking was great. I mean, Finneran only had that one field goal kick, but everything he kicked was straight down the middle. I thought Ansel played very well compared to last year. He seemed more calm. I don't know what his average was exactly, but it was definitely up from last year. And that last kick, though, if he would have kept that from going into the end zone, it would have been an outstanding game from him. But unfortunately, that ball went into the end zone for a touchback. Would have made it a little more difficult for Penn State. But return game, that was actually pretty disappointing. I think Charlie Jones was expecting a little bit more. I don't know if it was because of the first game or what, but he obviously was fair catching the ball pretty much in every punt but one. And on that one punt, he got nothing. Also may have been a little tired considering he was targeted 19 times, but then not much in the kick return game either. It'll be interesting to see, if Charlie's going to be the number one option, which I guess with that we'll go into offense. We'll talk about wide receivers, but if Charlie's going to be the number one option, punt return, sounds like he's a better punt returner anyway than a kick returner. Obviously I think he stays on punt return, but it will be interesting to see if he gets relieved of his kick returning duties just to help keep him a little bit more fresh. But anyway, Charlie Jones, I've been on the Charlie Jones bandwagon since he signed up with Purdue. I've been kind of singing his praises, if you will, predicting big things out of him. Love this film on, his tape. Loved his route running skills. Knew Iowa did not know how to use him in that offense. He balled out, man. He had 12 catches on 19 targets for, I think, 153 yards and a touchdown. And most of the time it was against Joey Porter, the stud cornerback. So he is definitely our number one target, like I thought he might be. Good things to come for him. And hopefully, he can maintain some of that momentum that Chuck Sizzle has brought upon himself. And he had nice little chemistry going with Aiden O'Connell too. But wide receivers as a whole, obviously you need that you need a second option to emerge. And I think that guy might be Marshawn Rice. He came in the game, I think he had around three catches for 53 yards or something similar to that. Looked good out there, man. Apparently he had a bad hamstring and thought there was actually a question whether or not he was going to play or not, but he didn't play until I think maybe the second quarter. But anyway, he looked good. Sheffield, besides that fumble where he had the ball in the wrong hand, he looked pretty good. He's probably the third option. Brock Thompson, unfortunately, I love Brock, but I think he's playing hurt. Sounds like he's barely practiced. He had that crucial drop on third down when we were basically on the 1 or 2 yard line. That would have been a huge play if he would have caught that ball. He just looked pretty rusty. He had that one nice catch for, 15 yards or so, and then he got tackled and immediately went down. I think he might be a few weeks away, if we're being honest. I'm not sure we can count on him until maybe Big Ten play comes back around. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him ease back very slowly and probably not even play against Indiana State and maybe limited. But so anyway, that's your top three receivers minus Brock. The probably next three would be Tyrone Tracy, who only actually had a few targets and one carry for 9 yards. I think they'll get Tyrone Tracy more involved in the offense. Had a couple drops though too, so he needs to clean that up. He had the dropsy problem at Iowa too. I think that's why he kind of went down the depth chart. So he needs to clean that up. But I think we need to utilize him more in the run game. Deion Burks was on the field apparently, but didn't see any targets to my knowledge. We're going to need him to step up, especially if Brock's out. Elijah Cannon from I think only had 2 plays. He maybe had more, but from on the TV, what I saw, he had 2 targets right in a row. One was almost an amazing catch, and the other one was a pass interference play. And he looked good on those 2 possessions. So, and he's a big body, so hopefully we see a little more of him. But really, that's your top 6/7 with Brock. So hopefully those guys can continue to improve and grow better with Aiden, I thought had a decent game, 50% completion rate, going against probably one of the best secondaries we'll see this season. Could have been better on a few throws. I know he missed Payne Durham twice. Speaking of Payne had a great game. Had a few plays where he was out of sync with Aiden. I think Aiden underthrew him and overthrew him once or twice. I think one, though, he was getting rushed and kind of had to get rid of the ball. The other one, of course, actually the third time was when Aiden threw that loft that pass up there, and Payne almost made an amazing catch, but it looked like he did take his right hand off of it. So anyway, hopefully that connection gets solved here very soon. But Aiden was okay. One touchdown, no interceptions at least. Almost had a pick, though. Should have been probably a pick six, but the ball bounced off Porter's hands and went to Sheffield. But he had a decent game. I think he'll improve, but, at least no key turnovers by Aiden. But I guess, we'll switch to the offensive line. I thought the offensive line played outstanding for the most part. Pretty much kept Aiden clean most of the night, rotated 8 guys, and they all looked very good. It's probably Jeff Brom's best offensive line, and they were able to run the ball a little bit better. King Daru, running back, had a great game. I think, again, I don't have stats in front of me, but I think he was like 4 yards a carry or something like that. I think Purdue as a whole rushing the ball, if you take out Aiden O'Connell's sacks, was around, I think, 80-something yards with 21 carries. So they're just about 4 yards a carry, which is great compared to last year. I think we were below 3 last year. Who else played? I think actually Kobe Lewis was the third string. He was on the field a decent amount, but he never got the ball. Dylan Downing had a few carries, and then Tyrone Tracy had 1. So running backs looked to be better than last year. That's why I was very disappointed. I guess we'll talk about the clock management with Jeff Brom. I'm a big Jeff Brom fan, and don't question a lot of his play calling. There's always occasionally a play or two where you question, but this might have been the first time where I was up screaming at the TV, yelling at Jeff to run the ball. 12 plays, Purdue had the ball twice, I think with around 6 minutes to go, and then around 3 minutes to go, and had 12 plays combined with those 2 possessions, and they threw the ball 11 times. And the one run they did have was for 4 yards. At the very least, I think there needed to be one more run, if not 2 more runs with King. We were running pretty good all night. And, watching the game too, they said they were stacking the box, but the linebackers are up. I would have ran the ball a little bit more. I think Jeff got spooked because we had a play, and I don't remember exactly when it was. I think it was might have been before the pick six, Penn State, but we had a running play where I think we had some motion going on. I don't remember the play exactly, but it got blown up. We lost like 3 yards. And I think Jeff got a little spooked after that. But we were running the ball pretty well all night for Purdue standards, and really wish, we would have maybe run it once or twice more. But, on rewatching that, though, we had a couple, the Aiden O'Connell scramble where he threw it to Payne. It was kind of a broken play, and, Payne catches that ball, game's probably over. But the very next play was an outstanding play call, and Aiden had Sheffield, who Sheffield made a great break out of his or great move out of his break. He was wide open. And Aiden, I couldn't tell in the replay. It was hard to see. He did have pressure, but it looked like he could have stepped up. He threw off his back foot, and he just underthrew it. And the DB made an outstanding play. However, the DB wasn't playing the ball. He was playing the receiver. And as soon as Sheffield kind of put his hands up and looked up, the DB put his hands up. And unfortunately, it was underthrown. Had it been a better throw, it may have been a touchdown. But actually, even worse, if it, he missed him. It was short, but I wish if he was going to be short, I wish he would have been a little bit even shorter on that pass, because had that been the case, it would have been pass interference. Had he made that throw a little bit shorter, because Penn State or DB would have ran right into him. But alas, we couldn't get it done. Game of inches. Very evenly matched game. Like I said, I knew this was going to be a toss-up. I really thought we were going to be almost right dead on with our prediction, just by a point off each. But Purdue unfortunately blew it. But let's talk about the season real quick. Does my outlook on the season change? I predicted 9-3 with the win against Penn State, but I also said that I had them Purdue losing to Minnesota and Maryland. But I said, kind of between, I think going into that Penn State or going into the Maryland game, I think Purdue would be 4-1. Do I still think that? I do. I think Purdue, well, maybe not the Maryland. I think Purdue wins either the Maryland game or the Minnesota game. Could they win both? They could. I'm not ready to give up in the season. I saw too many good things on the field. Now, it's going to be very hard, though, obviously, to win. Let me back up a second. I think if you had beaten Penn State, this could have been a very special season. A 10-win season, a 10-2 season with the loss maybe to Minnesota in Wisconsin. Now you lose to Penn State. So getting to 10 wins is going to be very difficult. I mean, you could beat Minnesota. Hell, you could even beat Wisconsin. But to beat them both, that's going to be tough to do. I think it's going to be very hard to win 11 games in a row to go 11-1. I don't think that's going to happen. But, could they maybe still go 10-2? Yeah, it's possible. It's also possible they go 9-3 with the loss to, who knows, with 2 more losses. The problem with 9-3 is, and that's what I predicted. The problem with that is it's going to be hard to make the Big Ten championship game, I believe, with a 6-3 record in the Big Ten. I think you're going to have to beat Wisconsin for that to happen. And then if you lose to Minnesota, Minnesota's probably only going to have 3 losses as well. So, if Purdue really wants to get into that Big Ten championship game, I think they only can afford 1 more loss. So we'll see what happens there. But I still think, if Purdue doesn't go to the Big Ten championship game, I think it's still going to be a good season. It'll be a little disappointing in that sense, but a 9-3 record would be not disappointing at all. That would be a good, solid record. We got Indiana State coming up, which I got to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of playing FCS teams in this day and age. Interesting stat on this is actually Jeff Brom's first game against an FCS team, not only at Purdue, but he did not play any at Western Kentucky. So that's interesting there. This is going to be a blowout. Probably similar to the UConn score last year. Purdue, we'll see if they call off the dogs early, but this is going to be like a 49-7 type game, I believe. Indiana State played, I want to say, North Alabama last week, I never heard of, and won 17-14, maybe even in overtime. I don't think they're going to put much of a fight against Purdue, but I do like the sense that this is a weaker opponent coming in here in week 2 after a hard fought, tough loss. I think Purdue goes to the game film, corrects some mistakes, feels good about themselves, gets the starters out some point late second quarter, or at the very least, starters don't come out for the third quarter. Get it one half of work. Get a 28 or 35-0 lead, and then, do your mass subs. But I think we'll be able to do some corrections, maybe get Aiden a little more sharper with his reads and more wide receivers involved, get Tyrone Tracy a little more involved. It's going to be a good game to get some things, ironed out, if you will. So this should be a big win. Again, I don't know much about Indiana State. I know they had that tragedy where they lost those 2 players, unfortunately. But again, all I know is they won 17-14. So I don't expect much of a fight here. And if there is, it would be very concerning. But like I said, all is not lost. I still think this is going to be a good year. Boilermakers just got to keep their heads up, get some confidence, and they're going to have I watched that Syracuse game, and Syracuse looked pretty good against Louisville. I don't know if it was because, sometimes you get a game 1 that just goes weird and actually doesn't resemble what the season's going to be like for some teams. I've seen that happen before. Louisville could be terrible, or they could have just played really, really bad that game, and Syracuse could have played, out of their minds, kind of compared to what they're supposed to be. But I guess we'll find out. It should be a good game here in 2 weeks. So we need to take care of business against Indiana State, come out healthy, and travel to Syracuse and get ready for a win there. But I guess, again, with that, I appreciate the support on this channel, guys. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I think, like I said, before I wrap up real quick, just wanted to talk about the channel, my plans for it. I've kind of already discussed this, but hoping to at least, try to upload once a week, or twice a week, even, once before the game, once after. The post-game stuff, is going to be a little harder to get an instant reaction. up on the channel. So I'm hoping maybe, I might combine it with the one video, or I may even just, I don't know. I haven't really messed around with YouTube Shorts, but if I can condense I might start doing some more of those, which I just have some quick thoughts. I think YouTube Shorts are just a minute long, but I'll see if I can condense it into that. It seems like I can't make a video that's shorter than 20 minutes these days, but anyway. Yeah, so that's kind of where we're going with this channel. So also a lot more active on Twitter, especially during the game. You can find me at Big Time Boiler. So with that, guys, I appreciate it. Boiler up, and we will see you next time.